Hello world, back with Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Section 3, Chapter 4, and we're going to find out how Krishna dies. Um, so we followed the story of Vidura, who's the uncle of the Pandavas. Vidura is exiled from the kingdom because he's too blunt with the bad guys. So they told him to get out of here. So he left. And while he was gone, the war happened and they were defeated. He stayed out because he was looking for somebody great. And eventually he wandered to the Yamuna River where he met Uddhava, Krishna's most confidential companion. Uddhava, however, was in a super morose state and told Vidura that Krishna is gone. And then the two of them reminisced for a bit. Uddhava shared his memories of Krishna in Vrindavan, although he wasn't actually, it's not really a memory, but tales that he heard, Mathura and Dwarka, and Hastinapur, and leading up to the explanation of why Krishna felt that it was time to leave. And that explanation was, well, he accomplished his mission. His mission was to get rid of 18 armies. He got rid of the 18 armies. And now his only worry was, what about his own army? He left that behind. And wouldn't that be defeating his purpose of getting rid of all these ancient militaries that had these ancient weapons? So he thought, I know what I can do here. I can get everybody drunk, and so that they start fighting with each other, and then they'll kill each other. And that's how I can get rid of my own armies. Nice wild style. So now let's pick up from there. Shuka says, some of the sages in Dwarka understood the plan of the all-attractive. So some of the really smart Brahmins understood what was on Krishna's mind. And so they played along with it. This is how Uddhava is describing it. So when the right time came, they became angry with the playfulness of the young princes in the Yadu Bhoja dynasty, and they cursed them. So to set the whole thing in motion, some of the sages realized what Krishna needed to do. He needs to get rid of his own army. So to set that in motion, they cursed the princes on the pretext of, you guys are too frivolous, you guys are too carefree, you're not taking your job as warriors seriously enough, you're just partying all the time. But a few months after that curse, it seems the entire dynasty, I don't know why he used the word seems. It seems the entire dynasty, the whole family, Krishna's dynasty, went by chariots to Prabhasa, joyfully festive, due to their intoxication with divine Krishna. Why were they so festive? Because they're always hanging out with Krishna. And they're always intoxicated with Krishna. And so they go to Prabhas to celebrate some kind of a festival. In Prabhas, they bathed and offered sacred water to the ancestors, gods, and divine sages. Then they gave many, many gifts to scholars. Superb cows. This is the kind of gifts that kings give to scholars. Cows is not a random gift. Cow is like giving somebody a bank account these days, because cow is a recurring source of milk. So cow is real important, or a bull will let you do farming. So they would give cows gold and silver so you could just trade things. Bedding, clothing, fur blankets, carts, chariots, elephants, and even young brides, ensuring that the scholars would not want for anything. They gave extremely delicious foods that had been offered to the all-attractive. These heroes felt enlivened to attend the needs of cows and scholars. So they happily bowed to the scholars, touching the ground with their heads. Then, on the request of the scholars, they also ate and drank liquor. This made them lose their wisdom. Interesting. Also, I had a similar experience. The one and only time I went to a Vedic astrology conference, the people were trying to get me to drink liquor. But I don't really enjoy drinking liquor, especially not with random people. So this made them lose their wisdom. Soon, all right, so what happened here was the scholars who came to Prabhas with these warriors. So the warriors were giving them stuff. And then the scholars said, you guys also eat and you also drink this. It's actually sake that they drink, which was rice wine. You guys also drink this sake. And that they did that on purpose because they knew what Bhagavan's plan was. So once they became drunk, they started insulting each other. It's not weird that I'm talking about Krishna, though, wild style, because the whole Bhagavatam is about Krishna. This made them lose their wisdom. Soon they began to wound one another with harsh insults. Their minds distorted by alcohol, they destroyed one another as the sun set, like bamboo stalks setting each other on fire. So that's how bamboo destroys itself. In the same way, the Yadu dynasty destroyed itself. Because it had destroyed all the other armies, nobody else could destroy it. So then it destroyed itself. And you know why? Because that's Krishna's mission, was to get rid of all these armies. So as the sun was setting, they were killing each other. Seeing that the display of his own magic had reached its conclusion, the all-attractive touched the Saraswati river and sat down at the base of a tree. The Prabhas, you remember Vidura came by Prabhas. Prabhas is along the bank of Saraswati. So after Krishna watches all this stuff happen, everybody get drunk, everybody start arguing, the arguments escalating, people drawing weapons, the violence happening, people dying. All of a sudden, almost everybody is dead. And then Krishna's like, well, then that's done. And he goes to the river, touches the water, sits down next to it, underneath a tree. Now, Uddhava says, I wasn't present when all this happened. So this is very interesting. Krishna kept Uddhava away. The all-attractive spared me the pain of seeing the destruction of his family. A few days earlier, he had told me, you should go to Badri. Badri is where Vyas stays. Vyas lives in Badri. Badri means cotton, jute cotton place, where the cotton grows. So Vyas has an ashram by these jute cotton bushes. And Krishna, a few days before this thing happened in Prabhas, Krishna told Uddhava, go to Badri, go see Vyas. The reason is because Uddhava is super, super smart and calm and strategic. He won't let this stuff happen. If he's there in Prabhas, then he's going to calm everybody down. And this kind of thing is not going to happen. So Krishna said, you go to Prabhas. You go to Badri. I tried to go, Uddhava says, but I couldn't follow his wishes. This is super interesting. Couldn't follow the order of Krishna. Instead, I turned around and picked up his trail, unable to bear being away from the embrace of his feet. So he actually didn't do. You could see how he's not quite a typical servant type of person, like a Hanuman. He's kind of bridging the border into a friend. He'll act on his feelings for Krishna more than on the law or the rule of what Krishna says. So, whereas somebody like Hanuman would have went to Badri, no matter what he was feeling. But Uddhava's intensity of affection is more intimate than Hanuman's. And so even though Krishna had ordered him to go to Badri, he went out and he tried to go to Badri, but as he's walking, he's like, I can't do this. It's something, I have to be with Krishna right now. Something is telling me I have to be with Krishna. So he turns around and goes back. When I arrived, I saw my kind master sitting all alone, very deep in thought, sheltered beneath the tree on the bank of Saraswati, even though he is himself the shelter of all beauty and opulence. So he got back after the destruction, after Krishna had just gone to the riverside and sat down to meditate. And he came in and he sees Krishna sitting under a tree on the bank of the river meditating for no purpose. There's no reason why Krishna would have to meditate. His whole life is saturated in spiritual It's just, meditation is to achieve some goal. There's no goal Krishna has to achieve. So it was, this is thinking, this is weird. What's going on? I knew it was him, though. Even though he's doing something unusual, I knew it was him because he is unmistakable with his brilliantly black complexion. So he's the only one who's got a black complexion that shines. Not quite the only one. Uddhava also has. But it's a unique complexion. A bright black complexion. Calming rosy eyes. Rosy eyes means there's redness around the edges. 4 arms. That's kind of a giveaway. And yellow silken clothing. He sat with his back against a young banyan tree. It's also very interesting. It's a yoga. It's acceptable in a yoga pose to rest your back on a prop. I think I would say from this, maybe I get the translation is not exactly accurate. Maybe he was just near it, but it seems that his back was rested against the banyan tree on the bank of Saraswati. His right lotus-like foot upon his left thigh. So he had the lotus position with the right foot on top of the left leg. And seemed carefree and disconnected from the world. So Uddhava arrives at Prabhas. Uddhava arrives at Prabhas and sees this. Miss Vinay says this seems kind of awful if not everyone was aware of Krishna's plan. Was this event out of character like what happened with the emperor and the dead snake? It is an unusual event. I wouldn't say it's out of character. It's something planned, and I definitely would not say that people didn't know what was going on. All the participants in this event are either expansions of Krishna or Krishna's children or his brothers or something, and they're all intimately in tune with Krishna's mind. They know what's going on. That's why it's called Leela. It's drama. It's like when you're playing a part. Imagine if you were an actor or an actress in a play and you were playing the part, but you were so engrossed in the part that you're not really entirely conscious that you're playing a part, that you're totally engrossed in the play. That's what it's like. And don't forget that these are warriors fighting other warriors. And warriors like to fight. I have friends that are like warriors. They do weird shit, like go to jujitsu and beat each other up or kick each other at Muay Thai. And they love it. Yeah, kick me again. in the shin. They like kick each other's shins. It's like, what the hell are you doing? But they love it. So don't forget that warriors actually like to get beat. Believe it or not. So it's actually, for a warrior doesn't want to die peacefully. A warrior wants to die with the testosterone flowing. A warrior wants to die fighting. So they kill each other. It's not that gruesome, actually. It would be gruesome if it was like they went out and started killing innocent people. But they're just killing each other. None of the women of the family are involved here either, by the way. None of the children are here. None of the young children are here. So there's some, like Krishna's great-grandson, Badri, is not there. He survives. He's someplace else. So Uddhava gets there after this battle when Krishna is just sitting by himself under a tree. Then he sees that somebody else is coming too. Hi, Kermit. Hi, Catherine. Then somebody else comes. A dear friend of Dvaipayana Vyas arrives. A blessed, perfected personality who wanders the world at will. So some third person comes to the scene at this same very awkward time. And this person is a friend of Vyasa and a very great sage. The sage was very affectionate to the all-attractive liberator and joyfully bowed his head while carefully listening as Krishna, looking right at me the whole time, finally put me at ease by speaking with a loving smile. So this third person shows up and greets Krishna lovingly and bows down to him. And then Krishna looks at Uddhava, who is still at a distance, and starts talking to him with a smile. I know what you have long desired in the core of your heart, the all-attractive said to Uddhava, and I shall give it to you, although I keep it very far away from others. Long ago, when the beneficent creators of the universe performed sacrifice, you desired only to fulfill my desires. So he's telling Uddhava that I've known you since your previous birth. In the previous birth, you were one of these primordial gods at the beginning of the universe, and when they performed sacrifice, all of them had in mind some mission that they wanted to accomplish, except you performed sacrifice just for the sake of pleasing me. That attracted my attention. That made me mark you as somebody that I wanted to have a relationship with. Yes, I was there at the very beginning of creation. Hi, Karen. For I am the one who enlightened unborn Brahma upon the lotus that sprouted from my navel, by giving him the paramount knowledge that illuminates my true glories, knowledge which became known amongst the gods as Bhagavatam, the beautiful tales of the all-attractive. So I was there because I'm Vishnu, and I noted how you were acting. You have cherished your goal for so many lifetimes. Now I bestow it to you because I love you. I cannot help but love you. Your love for me is so strong that you abandoned my orders and followed me to this hidden place, where you will witness the scene of my departure from the world of humans. Uddhava's farewell. When the Supreme Personality spoke to Uddhava with so much unfailing love, Uddhava erupted in goosebumps and could not speak clearly. Finally, Uddhava wiped the tears from his eyes and managed to speak with his hands folded. Master, none of the 4 goals is very difficult to attain for anyone who adores your lotus-like feet. 4 goals? Kama, Artha, Dharma, Moksha. Basic pleasure, then extended pleasure through Artha, financial prosperity, and Dharma, social morality, and then Moksha, which means liberation from the entanglement and all of that effort. Those are the 4 goals. Those are very difficult goals to attain. We can't even achieve Kama. It's very difficult. People are just going crazy. Where's my sex? Everybody can't get enough sex. You can't even achieve Kama properly. And then everybody is going crazy for money. They're willing to kill people for money. They're willing to sacrifice their country and their children just so the economy is fine. Money, and then Dharma. People can't even comprehend what's right and wrong, what to speak of live righteously. These 3 goals are really difficult to attain. What about moksha, which is enlightenment and liberation? But Uddhava says these 4 goals are very easy to attain. I don't want any of those things. They come real simple to anybody who is interested in you. So I'm not interested in heaps of those things. So you're telling me that you're going to give me, thank you, Jason. You're telling me that you're going to give me the fulfillment of my desire. I hope you don't think that I want Kama, Artha, Dharma, or Moksha. I don't want a heap of that stuff. My only aspiration is to be useful to your lotus feet. You perform deeds even though you have no needs. I like that, it rhymes. You perform deeds even though you have no needs. You have a specific existence even though you are beyond the limits of specificity. You fearfully flee to the protection of a fortress even though you are all-powerful time itself. Your time, the most powerful thing in the universe, but you flee into a fortress to protect yourself from some enemy. You delight in the company of fair maidens, even though you delight only within your own self. So you are the most fascinating being that there is. You perform deeds even though you don't have needs. You're completely infinite, yet you're finite. You're completely powerful, yet you act like you're scared. and needy, and you love pleasure and happiness even though you're full of pleasure naturally on the inside. This is the most interesting person that exists. Even the wise cannot fully fathom this. Even I am bewildered that you would call me over and ask for my advice, which is constant. That was Uddhava's role in Dwarka, was he was Krishna's advisor. So you would call me over and ask for my advice all the time, but your own intellect is forever unrivaled, untroubled, and undisturbed. Why would you call me for my advice? You perform deeds, so you have no needs. You perform deeds because of pleasure. You would ask me questions as if you were clueless, even though you are never confused. From the very core of his heart, Uddhava begged, please enlighten me with the utmost knowledge about the mysterious secrets of your own true self by elaborating on the supreme knowledge you explained to the blessed Creator. If I can grasp what you explain, I will surmount all confusion and sorrow. So what Uddhava is saying is, if you really want to feel my desire, what I really want to do is be able to comprehend you, but comprehend doesn't mean bookworm, Dexter, teacher's pet comprehend. Comprehend means experience, perceive accurately and fully. I want to be able to fully, completely, and accurately grasp you. So please elaborate to me the knowledge which you gave Brahma, which allowed him to comprehend you, which is the Bhagavatam, the core of the Bhagavatam. The all-attractive lotus-eyed Supreme then instructed Uddhava. In how much time we got? Kind of good. The all-attractive lotus-eyed Supreme then instructed Uddhava in full detail about his paramount situation. Uddhava devotedly deliberated on Krishna's words. Now, don't forget, there's a third dude here. There's Krishna and Uddhava, and Krishna's talking to Uddhava and looking at Uddhava, but there's this other guy who's on the scene. That's Vyasa's friend, who's not named yet. Soon you'll know his name. So there's a third person there who's listening to everything that Krishna is explaining to Uddhava. So Krishna is also secondarily explaining everything to that third person. The all-attractive lotus-eyed Supreme then instructed Uddhava in full detail about his paramount situation. Uddhava devotedly deliberated on Krishna's words about the path that awakens full comprehension of spiritual reality. Then he paid so he listened to it really carefully. Then he paid his respects by circumambulating the divine. This is an ancient way of showing somebody respect. It's similar to bowing. You walk around somebody, keeping them on your strong side, keeping them on your right side. Tormented to the core by the loss of Krishna, he eventually came to the spot where he met Vidura. So he skips at this point, at least, the whole story of how it actually happened, it just gets skipped. And he just says, well, then I just walked around Krishna and apparently left. And then he wandered around and met Vidura. Parikrama, right, Hermit the Frog. Prabhu, Uddhava says to Vidura, without the bliss of his company, I am constantly plagued with pain. I will now go to join those at Badri ashram. So the last thing Krishna told Uddhava was go to Badri. So Uddhava says, well, that's what I'm going to do now. Now I'll go to Badri. And I'll join the blessed sages who've assembled there, which includes Narayan, which is an expansion of Vishnu. Now, Vidura gets a chance to speak. He says, he's plunged into sorrow by Uddhava's news about the awful destruction of his dearest friends. But wise Vidura eventually regains his composure and submits a very intimate request. He says, Krishna, the master of mystics, personally enlightened you by explaining the utmost knowledge about the mysterious secrets of his true self. So please teach me what he taught you. Wouldn't you? I mean, I hope that would be the thing that would be on your mind. Like, hey, before you go to Badri, or maybe I can go to Badri with you, but You just told me that you asked, Krishna said he was going to fulfill your desire, and you asked him to explain everything to you so that you could perfectly understand him and experience him perfectly. Well, he did that, so can you share that with me now? That's what he wants. That's what he asks. He says, it is certainly not improper for you to teach me. Because Uddhava is younger than Vidura by quite a bit. So you might say, no, I'm not. I don't feel like your teacher. I'm a younger guy. I'm your junior. So Vidura says, don't get any of that garbage going on. It's certainly not improper for you to teach me. After all, those who serve Vishnu live only for the benefit of their own servants. This is interesting. Those who serve Vishnu live only for the benefit of their own servants. So what Vidura is saying is, it's not improper for you to teach me. You're thinking, I mean that because I'm older than you. You shouldn't worry about that. But what I actually mean is because I'm junior to you. You're superior to me in the real way, which is how you grasp reality, your spiritual comprehension. So I'm like a servant to you. But those who are Vishnu Bhaktas, they are more concerned with the welfare of their servants than they are with themselves. And that's because that's Vishnu's personality, and they take the same personality trait. So since I'm your servant and your junior, you should take the time and effort to instruct me, to give me the knowledge that I need. So it's an interesting, very interesting exchange there. Thank you very much, Barda. So how does Uddhava react to Vidura's request to share this knowledge with him? Uddhava resists. Now I wonder why. I think it's just very simple. I think Uddhava is just in no mood for anything at all. He just doesn't have it in him to do anything right now. He's just racked by pain, and he just wants to go to Badri Ashram, get away from the world, and meditate. And he doesn't want to get involved in teaching somebody something, even teaching him this. That's one reason. That's probably the just direct personal feeling reason. But also there's another reason that he wants to involve that third person in the there's a reason why that third person was there. So now you're going to find out why. Uddhava resists, and he says, no, it's better if you should learn this worshipable truth, he calls it. You should learn this worshipable truth that I learned. But it's better if you learn it from the sage who was there with me. And now he names him finally, Maitreya, the sagacious son of Kusharu. He's still nearby. He's still here. He's still around here. We were just in Prabhash. He can't be far. You can find him. So that's what he told Vidura. He said, look, I agree you should learn what I learned, but I can't teach it to you. I just don't have it in me. It'd be better if you learn it from Maitreya, who heard the same exact thing that I did. But Uddhava did not abandon Vidura. They spent the entire night on the shore of the river Yamuna, drowning their terrible sorrows in the nectarian elixir of discussing Krishna's qualities. Thus they came to see him everywhere, and the night seemed to pass in an instant. In the morning, Uddhava set out to Badri and never returned. Maybe we'll finish this chapter. Uddhava had a mission. So Parikshit's going to ask about that. Parikshit's got a question now. He says, remember, the story is being told from Shuka to Parikshit. And Parikshit's got 7 days to live, and he's hearing this stuff on the bank of the Ganges. So now at this point, Parikshit's got a question, and he says, practically everyone in Krishna's family attained their final destinations. Even the Hari gave up his deeds and departed from the three worlds that belonged to him. So why was Uddhava left behind? That's Parikshit's question. Why were some people left behind? Shuka answers, he whose desires are never baffled, that's one way of addressing Krishna, someone whose desires are never baffled, He whose desires are never baffled felt the time had come for his sprawling family to completely withdraw from the world, so he employed the convenience of a curse from the learned. Not wanting to remain in this world without them, he departed himself. But not wanting to abandon the world, he thought, I will disappear from this world, but knowledge of me should remain. Uddhava can accomplish this because he's a qualified master, never troubled by material tendencies. Indeed, he is not even slightly inferior to me. That's why Krishna, the teacher of all the worlds and the very mother of sacred knowledge, carefully taught Uddhava before he departed. So he didn't just teach Uddhava for Uddhava's sake. In fact, there's no need to teach Uddhava anything. It's just a play. But in order to get the knowledge into Maitreya's ears, he spoke to Uddhava at that time. So he took the convenience of Uddhava being there because he could speak to Uddhava on Uddhava's level, and Maitreya could learn at Uddhava's level. And the reason why he left Uddhava behind, and also he needed to get into Uddhava in a verbal form, because he wanted Uddhava to go to Badri and help Vyas get his comprehension straight so he could compose the Bhagavatam. Because his mission, his thought is, I'm going to leave the world, but I don't want to just leave it entirely. Let me leave behind some accurate record so that people can connect with me still. Melissa asks if the Bhagavatam was first spoken before written by Vyasadeva. Actually, the Bhagavatam, it has two forms to it. One is this part that's extracted from the Yajurveda. The original Yajurveda that Brahma instructs to the 7 sages has mixed up in it all 4 Vedas and all the Puranas. And then Vyas, every Dwapara Yuga, or the beginning, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga border, Vyas extracts them and puts them in separate organizational parts. And every time he extracts something called the Bhagavad Purana. But in the one Kali Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, where Krishna himself appears, he revises that Purana. So the Bhagavatam has one form, which technically, if you're going to refer to that form, you just call it the Bhagavad Purana, which is verbally existent along with Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and all the 18 Puranas forever. And then there's a form of it which is written by Vyas approximately 5,000 years ago, maybe 5, 6, something like that, and then taught verbally to his students, including his son, and then expanded on by his son to Parikshit, and then expanded on by Sutta, the onlooker, the on-hearer, to Shanika. And then at some point written down. Whether it's written in the beginning or not is not so consequential, but it's primarily spoken. What is it about listening, Ms. Vinay says, that allows for better comprehension than seeing or the other senses? Is it something about language? It's that the closest element to the mind is sound. If you remember how the universe evolves its basic components, the mind evolves and then it produces space. And space can have waves of different dimensions in it. And so that's the basis for sound. So the thing that affects the mind the most is sound, more than sight or smell or anything. The thing that affects the mind the most is sound. All sensory input affects the mind, but sound. And then words are very intense capsulations of intellectual power that convey meaning into the mind most directly. Okay, so yeah, so what happened when Uddhava went to Badri finally? He focused on satisfying Hari by enlightening the sages there. So he actually went there and started teaching everybody there. But he at that, maybe that's another reason why I was like, Vidura, I got to get to Badri. Krishna told me to go to Badri Ashram. That's where I'm going. I'm going to enlighten people there. You look for Maitreya. There's a reason why why Maitreya was there too. Parikshit would wonder why Uddhava would enlighten all the senior sages at Badri but refused to instruct Vidura. So Shuka explained he did enlighten Vidura. That night, he explained to Vidura that Krishna is the soul of all souls. So actually that night, he did enlighten Vidura about Krishna. But he's not going to get it but the formal explanation of things to Vidura comes from Maitreya. But the direct revelation sharing of it came that night on the Yamuna's bank from Uddhava to Vidura. So he says, he did enlighten Vidura. That night he explained to Vidura that Krishna is the soul of all souls, playfully accepting a form within this world to perform wonderful deeds. His purpose in all this is to nourish the hearts of thoughtful people with divine love. When he withdraws that form, thoughtful people lose composure and follow him. Those who are not very thoughtful have a very hard time understanding anything about Krishna. Their hearts are not fixed in divine love, but are unsteady with selfish desires like animals. Uddhava also told Vidura that Krishna counted him. This is one of the things that Uddhava told Vidura that night. That Krishna counted him, Vidura, amongst the very best of his associates and thought of Vidura at the very end. This is an amazing thing that Uddhava told Vidura is that, do you know that Krishna mentioned you at the end of his life? When Vidura heard this, he began to wail in the anguish of love. When Uddhava left, Vidura remained near the river Yamuna for a few days in a state of perfect love. Then he went to Heaven's river, the Ganges, and met Maitreya, the sagacious son of Mitra. That's why he's called Maitreya. So that's it for today. Tomorrow's Friday, so we'll get back together. Tomorrow we're starting the prelude, the conclusion of the Vidura tale and the beginning of the next major tale in the third part. The next major tale in the third part is the story of the incarnation of Vishnu as a boar who rescued the earth from disintegration. That's the next coming major story. But we're still in the storyline of Vidura seeking enlightenment, and he still hasn't found Maitreya and spoken to Maitreya yet. So we're now going to get one or two chapters that recount the conversation and the questions and answers, the incredible questions and answers between Vidura and Maitreya. So get ready for a change of gear. For the last couple of sessions, there's been a lot of story. Things have been happening. Things have been moving, tales of actions. Next couple of sessions, it's going to change gear and get back to like philosophy and questions and answers about things. All right, guys, thank you very much, and see you tomorrow.